Welcome to another edition of Interruptions. I'm your host, Otis Smith. Today, I got another treat for you guys. This man here, I'm such a fan of his. He is a graduate of the Juilliard School, the acting school. He's also been nominated for Tony Awards. He also won the Screen Actors Guild Award, and Vulture called him and said that Mr. Henderson is one of the 32 greatest actors working today, character actors working today. And you might have seen his work, but I come to love this man when I saw him in the movie Fences. I loved his character. I love what he did with it. I'm talking no other than the brilliant Stephen McKinley Henderson. How you doing, sir?
All right, I'm good, my brother. I'm good. And I got to correct you on one thing because you said I graduated
You
from
didn't
Juilliard.
graduate?
No, man, I dropped
Oh
out.
Lord!
But,
Oh,
but,
you
now
let
here's
the
what
cat
you
out
got.
the bag.
But here's what you got right, though. I received an honorary doctorate degree from Juilliard because I
Okay.
gave the commencement address uh, in 2017, I think it was. And so, yeah, I got a degree from Juilliard, but I didn't graduate. Okay.
Oh man, they ain't let you walk.
Oh no, man, I walked. I walked. I got out of there after 2 years, but it was but you know what I mean. It was a great experience. It was a very important experience for me. You know, to leave Kansas City and go to New York City. Period. In 1968. You know.
Yeah, yeah, that's a big deal. That is a very big deal.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure to talked to Erica Gimple, and she told me she had went to Juilliard, and which was funny because she played on a TV show Fame that was
Right.
supposed to be a performing arts school. So that was kind of funny knowing that about her.
The other brother that was another brother that was a part of that first year at Juilliard, because we were in group one. We were the first class of acting students, and their brother Jim Moody, he played the acting teacher in the original Fame movie. Okay, so
So
he was a
he was the
Juilliard.
acting teacher
Yeah,
with
in the
with the
first Fame.
glasses.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's Jim. That's Jim Moody, man. Yeah, good brother.
You know what? Something he said in that movie that Bill Dukes told me that always stayed with me with your profession, and that was uh being. You have to be, in that movie, when you see the students come to his class, and from the outside looking in, you don't understand when they say, okay, be a tree, or be this or be that. You're not understanding. You're like, okay, be what is that all about? So after talking to someone like Mr. Bill Dukes and others, now I get it. They're teaching you how to be something. So once you are into character, you have to be that, not portray it, but you have to be that. So
But you know,
I
another part of that
okay,
is about simply being. You understand? To be still,
okay.
to breathe and be. Simply breathe and be. Don't be trying. You got to be able to sit in it, stay in that moment, and live in that moment and move to the next. But so it is absolutely right about to be. But what a tree does is simply be. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And what you know what I mean? And the same thing with even with any kind of an animal, they be that. There ain't no twist, ain't no game, ain't no guile, ain't no you know what I'm saying. So that just breathing and being and also let go of the nerves. You know what I mean? Well, I mean, we don't want to go all the way down that road.
No, no, I'm
But,
loving it. I'm
but
loving
if
it.
you just breathe and be, let them shoulders drop, breathe and be. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because from there you can create anything. That's that clean slate. If you can become a clean slate, you can draw anything on that slate. You can
Wow.
bring anything from it. You know.
That's some wisdom right there. That's that. I mean, that's wisdom. into life. Bruce Lee said it a little bit different when he said, "Be like water,"
Oh
where
yeah.
water can conform to, it can take shape to whatever it's. So I get it. That's food for thought. My first question for you is, where did the love, like you said, being from Kansas, uh, where did the love of acting begin for you?
Uh, high school. In my first year of high school, I had a teacher named Gloria Terrell,
Hmm.
and she asked me. And it's my first year in high school now, and she asked me to play the white man in A Raisin in the Sun in a production that she was doing at all black high school. See, so I'm
Okay.
saying now, I ain't trying to go up in here, what I mean, and do this. And then she said, because she had stopped by the pool hall to ask me, but she said, but you got, you all right. You got a name, what I mean? It's a lot of other students that might do this and they'd have to take a lot of stuff, but you already, got a name and so on and so forth. Now, she was jiving me, but she was so
Right.
fine, man. She was so fine. I gotta tell you, this teacher was so beautiful, man. You know what I mean? So that I went on to do it, and
Uh-huh.
it became the best thing, man, to be a part of the group, to be a part of the company, that group of students that were in the play, you know what I mean? And she
Right.
had put everybody perfect in their part, man, you know what I mean? And we really did took ownership of it. We were a part of an ensemble. We were one family, even though we all playing different characters.
Right.
I got accepted into a group that was a great blessing on me to start, and be thought of as a member of that. And then later on that time, she was doing a play in the community, and I got cast in my first production, semi-professional production, while I was still in high school, of Blues for Mr. Charlie, James
Okay.
Baldwin's Blues for Mr. Charlie, and
Okay.
so I was off then, man, because it was the family part of it. It was being a part of the ensemble. You know what I'm saying? And having that message, and we all working together to give the message to the people. And it was like 1965, 66. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it was very community and mission oriented kind of stuff. Then.
That, so you had to play, and you had to play the man that had to tell him
That he
basically
want to
not to
buy
move, not to move into the community,
that he want to buy the house back from.
but to
Yeah,
buy the house. The amazing thing, I before I even saw the original with Sidney Poitier
mm-hmm.
and Ruby Dee, I read it first. The high school I went to, George Washington Carver here in Atlanta, Georgia, an English teacher, gave us the book, and I actually played. Far as we were just reading it, we wasn't doing the play, but we was reading it out of the book. But she wanted us to read it like we were acting, and I was playing Sidney Poitier's character, reading that, and then I actually saw the actual movie, and that rings bell today. Someone who wants to go another level than what they're living,
Mm-hmm.
and just feel like the world is beating him down, and it seems like nobody in his family understands what he's talking about. Like
Yeah.
nobody gets it, what he's talking about. And you know I think that they were ahead of that was written ahead of its time, in a sense of, when you look at it now, and the correlation between Americas and Africa now, when you talk about the sister who was dating
Mm-hmm.
someone that
Yeah.
that for his foresight to see that
Yeah.
before 2023 is amazing, and it's still relatable um to this day, and I
Well,
do mean
that
on all
sister,
points.
yeah, that sister Lorraine Hansberry, who wrote the play, for her to have Asa Guy in there, have that the African student in there in Chicago, and then have the brother who was from Money, the other cat that she was dating, who came from some money.
That was
George Murchison. It
yeah,
played George Murchison. But yeah, it's what she crafted that Raising in the Sun. And their family name was Younger. Was Lena Younger, Walter Lee Younger, Denisha
right.
Younger. And see, everybody wants for their younger generation. Every family wants for their younger to come behind them to have better than what they got. So for Lorraine to craft that and make that their name, and for every family could identify with anybody, you want the best for the youngest coming up behind you. They had a little boy in there, I know it's a powerful play, and it's been in my life a long time. I got to play Walter Lee, but also I played Bobo twice. I played it with
Yes.
with Danny Glover. I played it with Poitier. I mean, with Denzel. I played it with Jim Pickens, man. A whole lot of brothers along the way. Bob Gossett. Whole lot of cats that I got.
Y'all ain't found that money yet.
Hey, man, Willie gone, man. Willie took that money and gone, brother. Can't take off with your money. He don't leave you no road maps, brother.
Leave the road out, boy. This oh that and that's a heartbreaker, but that's like a gut. That's a gut wrench.
Whew, I tell you, she wrote that play. That second act, that curtain come down, and the mother say, "Give me strength, Father, give me strength." Yeah, oh, man, that's powerful stuff. And I say, Esther Rowe, I saw Esther Whaler, I saw Tanya Whaler. I mean, I've seen some. It's a great play, and it's a great play to have in the culture, so that
Yes.
when they do the play on the stage, generation after generation get to do it. Like you say, you got to do it. What you got to have it in your memory in your body, memory in your
Yes.
consciousness. You know, and that's the great thing about theater as a cultural event, as a legacy event.
When you went to Juilliard, what was that experience like for you? Uh, you know, regular regular high school where it's just sports and do your homework and all that kind of stuff, and then when we saw just a glimpse, as we talked about earlier, just a glimpse from the TV show Fame to see what a performing arts school is like for you, was that a culture shock, or what was that like for you?
Well, yeah, a lot of life was a culture shock for me when I was 17, 18 years old, man, I gotta say. But cause it was 1968, 1969, so there was a whole lot of stuff going down. And the other thing was I had been going to regular school. I went to a historically black school, Lincoln University in Jefferson City, Missouri. I did a year after high school at Lincoln U and
Okay.
the ROTC program and all of that, and had gone to Kentucky and when Martin was assassinated and saw the Klan come out on campus and everything. So I had
Wow.
all of this happen, and then I had my scholarship, a chance to go to Juilliard, and I really wasn't knowing whether I was going to go or not. But then after the experience in Kentucky and just seeing how fragile the whole life was and
Hmm.
how what a chance it was going out the door, and say, well, why not go to New York, and try it, you know what I mean? And then so what it was like for me to go to a conservatory after just getting to do plays here and there and a
Hmm.
little class. It was like the penthouse room in hell, brother, because as much as it was the penthouse, it was still in hell. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But it was the dichotomy of being in that wonderful training facility and program with all the best teachers and time and stuff to just work and concentrate on your art form, like
Mm.
if you're a musician or if you're a dancer, if you know, to work
Hmm.
on it like that. But then also to have the turmoil in the street and being separated because you kind of was cloistered away, man. You had to, you were working on the classics, you were working on stuff from Greek to Shakespeare to boom to Wilder, like that. And I had been so in the other thing, so being sort of torn between the times. So it was,
Hmm.
that's why I say it's like the penthouse room in hell, because it was great to be there and get that training, but it was also a hard time to be pulled from one thing to the next, and so I did drop out. I left after 2 years, but um, but I had great training and great, the friendships and the teachers and the standards that I carried with me, even as I had to leave because I couldn't stay cause life stuff, my own family stuff, and
Gotcha.
some death stuff in the streets, stuff like that. So I had to back up. But then I went down south, went to North Carolina School of the Arts, and I finished up down there, and I went to Indiana, went to grad school. I kept pursuing it because I was following the work. So I was acting all the time, you know what I'm saying? And uh, and so that, but the Juilliard experience was a fabulous experience, but it was a very tough time for my soul because of being
What was
torn
going on?
between, yeah, you know what I mean.
That, you said something just a few minutes ago, and it just came back to my spirit. It's just you're in high school and you get ready to do like you said, raising in the sun. But it's interesting they asked you to play a white man, given the time frame
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you were living in. That just I glossed over when you said it at first, but I got to come back to that because that's kind of crazy because like what do you do, as far as like what do you do with that, like how you can't even, or can you try to assimilate trying
Well,
to
see,
play
the
that
thing is,
role?
oh no, this is the thing. That's glad you asked, because this is a good question. Only thing I had to find out was what his action is in the scene. What is he trying to do?
Right,
What he's trying to do is get these people to let him buy back the house. Okay, now
right,
so he also been sent there by this committee and so on and so forth. So
right.
he ain't necessarily the bad guy. He the guy got the short straw. He the guy got to say somebody got to go and get this house back. Okay.
Right.
And you got to be the low man on the totem pole. You ain't the boss man going back
No,
down there
no.
trying to buy the house back. You understand? You ain't to even go to the south side, period. Go to south side Chicago, go up in there, you know what I mean, by yourself, So all I have to figure out is what is this character trying to do to serve the play? In order to serve the play, what I got to do is
Okay.
be what they need to push against. They need to be able to say, and people think that they can buy the dignity back and so on and so forth. Then Walter Lee goes for those, he
Yeah.
goes for those people. I'm gonna, because the black on black crime takes him down. The white man didn't bother him. The white man comes and offers this stuff, and they say, "Get out of here, man." And they laughing and joking. Say, "Mama, you should have known what happened when that white man came by and thought he could buy." So they play. They said that ain't nothing. That we know what that is, but it's the black on black crime. When they find out Willie Harris went off with the money, that's what tears the house down.
Mm,
So to understand the story, see, to understand you serving the play, it's more so about doing that action that causes this action that leads to this revelation and enlightenment.
I
So
got you.
it's the story that you give yourself to, and in context you become the character. So if I wouldn't, you know what I mean, and I was young in the game at that time, but I
Well,
knew
that's why
what.
I was think. That's why I was thinking because I was thinking now. I was like, now if they would have asked him to do that now, it
Well,
would
now
be
first of all, they wouldn't ask me to do it
right,
now.
right, right.
But because see, the only reason it was asked to do is because we in an all black high school.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, and you the
We in the
lightest
we,
one.
we in the house. We in the house. This is the story, and we trying to put on the play. So
Gotcha.
that's why I say I got accepted into the fold. And so the more I played it, the more they dug it because it had to happen in order to get the play done.
Sure.
And so, I've never I've never been asked to play what I consider to be a white man or a this man or that man. I've always brought me to the thing, and that's who I am. I know, as long as I know who I am, I can
Yeah.
play anything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
As long as you know what Amiri Baraka told me, man, and then we can move on.
Uh
But
huh.
Amiri told me right back in '69, he said,
Okay.
"You're black by color, consciousness, and commitment." and 2 out of 3 ain't bad, brother. You know, he said, but if you got the color and don't have consciousness and commitment, you can't be of use to the movement. So he said it's making certain of the consciousness and the commitment, because it's people taking down stuff that's smiling and saying, you know what I'm saying? And there's just people there to take Malcolm out. You know what I'm saying? So all of that is the case. So in those days, 60, I mean, all this, the late 60s and then, you know,
Yeah,
early 70s, it was some true friendships, some true community, and some terrible betrayals. All that shit went down. You know what I'm saying? And the arts were a very important wing of the Black Power movement. The Black Arts movement was a very important way to hit to keep that legacy. You know, to put it all in context and perspective, to see it up in front of you. The artists were putting it out there so you can see this is what's going down. You know, this is the real deal.
that's amazing to me, because yourself, Brent, Sidney Poitier, I mean, many others were called to do extraordinary things in the midst of chaos, in a chaotic time. It wasn't so, you know, it's amazing that sometimes when you've been called to do something like in your profession in the arts, um, people think that when you do it, it's going to be nice and peaceful and calm. And you guys were doing stuff in one of the most chaotic times in history.
That is true, but also I'm going to tell you, we had some of the greatest leadership in history.
Yeah, yeah, I
You
will.
know,
Yes.
that was also right there as part of it. I know what Ossie Davis said one time about it's a whole lot of people that's climbing mountains. They saying they're the first one to do this and the first to
Hmm.
do that. Said, but before the mountain climbers were the mountain movers. Say there were people who moved the mountain over here where you could get a chance to climb. And so
Wow.
it was important to know the mountain movers, to be talking about Robeson and be talking about, I mean, even like they telling about Rustin today, they're telling that story.
I saw
All
that. I saw that.
all of these stories, all this stuff was going down, man. You know what I mean? And it's important to know those mountain movers, so that that's why most of the people who climb the mountains were able to do it, because they moved the mountain over here close to.
That's great. I did see that, and I was because I'm a I love to go back, study history, and see, because you know I get frustrated sometimes. I was born in '71, and I get frustrated sometimes when I went through school, and then there's just certain stories, certain things I was never taught, like, you know, I didn't know. And you get frustrated. You're like, wait a minute, why didn't I know this? Like, look, it was not something that just developed like this.
Right,
Like,
right.
like when you look at Hidden Figures, you look at these four women. It's like, okay, now I'm born in '71. I went from '71 to 80, graduate high school in '89. You mean why didn't I know this? What
Yeah.
what what come on. So
Somebody didn't want you to know that. That's why.
right, but that's why I say it's important, like you said, through the arts, when you guys are telling the story and picking up people, our people got to stop saying, "Oh man, I ain't trying to go back and look at that back in that time." No, you need to learn, because you need to know what somebody created or did,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't want you to know and make you. So it's very important. Um, I love a person like yourself that has that theater background. Um, what theater? What about theater that brings joy to you?
Hmm. Well, the thing that first brought joy to me about theater is that they give me a job. I gotta tell you straight out. I gotta tell you, that's the only place I could get hired. I couldn't get hired on TV or movies and that stuff. So yeah, that the first thing, but also it is the closeness with which, and it's not always. I ain't trying to make it some Pollyanna thing,
Hmm.
but there is a depth of relationship that can develop when you work with someone on a work of art, when you work and trying to illuminate something about the human spirit. because that's what you're trying to do. It's not, and you know the people that are just trying to do make believe and like to put on makeup and dress up and
Right.
stuff. But there's also the pursuit of some larger human truth, and that the story is pursuing anyway. And so even if you give yourself to the story, then you're helping to illuminate something about the nature of being human. So that's really where I got on because I came through a love of poetry, and then into the theater because the early plays were written poetically, like August Wilson writes very poetic. So a lot of the plays, they're saying it in a profound way. They're saying a profound thing in a profound way.
Okay.
And, and to do that with many voices, with several people working together to get that point across to the public, I just think it's a lofty pursuit.
Well, the reason I asked that question to give you some context is because I noticed a lot of actors like yourself who've done theater, they go back to it. Even you can have success doing film, doing TV. If a good stage theater play comes and you get the like you will go back to it. And I said it's got to be something, you know, uh, Bill Dukes, um, um, just a lot of Renee Lawless, just a lot of wonderful actors that I've seen done stage. They one of the things I noticed, you guys have something that people who just do acting schools, which is nothing wrong with acting school, but I'm talking about from a perspective that's all they did was just acting school.
Mm-hmm.
Like the theater, people who've done theater, just you guys have something different. Like you can go in and out of scenes, far as like you can go from being serious to comedic all in one scene. And it's like it's something, it's just something. Who was this? Vincent, I can't think of his last name, played on the soap operas, and he told me, he said you could tell a theater actor because when you're prepping for film or TV, they just do it differently. You just your practice habits or whatever is just totally different. He said you can tell a theater actor from someone that has not done theater.
Yeah, I would imagine that's true. I know it's true. I've seen it myself. And but all the rivers run into the lake of truth. You can find some people who came from that film or tradition
Hmm.
that when they find themselves on the stage, they really love it, man. They just really like Chris Rock. Chris Rock did a lot of movies, and then he did a Broadway show, man. He was saying, "Man, I love this," and he now his the roles he's moving into, the depth that he is in his stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's beautiful to see, and cause uh, you know all the rivers run into the lake of truth, man. If you follow it long enough, you're gonna get to that larger thing than your little stream.
Yeah. And you segue beautifully to my next question, which was just what is so prestige about Broadway? What makes Broadway prestige? And the reason I'm asking this question, we the fans, we grow up, we hear about Broadway, right? And then you'll hear someone say, "Well, I did this stage. It was an off Broadway play," which means it wasn't on Broadway, right? So, but when you hear Broadway, a lot of us, we don't understand the prestige of being on a Broadway play. What is that?
Okay, now I will take it all the way to his seat. First of all, is marketing. Okay, that's
Okay.
what makes prestigious. The reason you hear about Broadway, and
Hmm.
like when I heard the Drifters song, man, you remember that song the Drifters sang? They say neon lights are bright on
Oh yeah,
Broadway.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now I heard that song back in the day, and they say, uh, and they said, there's a mystique about it. There's something, wonderful about it. And then George Benson played the guitar. He did a whole thing, and
Yes.
it's like to make it there. And that's what the Sinatra was saying. New York, New York. If I can make it there, I can make it anywhere.
Anywhere.
They're talking about Broadway. You're talking about Broadway. You know what I mean? You're talking
Okay.
about it on that at this gift. But the marketing tells you that it's that. Now the second thing is, as a stage actor, you don't make a lot of money.
Okay.
Broadway is probably the only place that you can make a decent salary to be able to have a family, to be able to live like a regular person, buy property, do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now it's not that there's a better way to do your craft on Broadway. If you perform differently on Broadway than you do in Toledo, you don't deserve to work either place. You understand?
Gotcha.
Because
Gotcha.
you got to always be bringing it. You got to do
Mm-hmm.
your best work best you can. But the tradition of Broadway, the people who have made Broadway great, the
Gotcha.
things that have happened, you know what I
Gotcha.
mean?
Okay.
The breakthrough experiences and things, large, it's it's really it's got its own ghosts and spirits that lift it. But
Okay.
now marketing thing, the $96, $100, $200, $300 ticket see, that's all way out the box.
Right.
But the level of craft, the incredible thing that can happen, like a Hamilton, but it started off Broadway. See,
Broadway. Yeah.
started off Broadway. It started other places, but the place you go, and some people say that about it. If you tell them, "Oh man, I was in a great production in such and such," they say, "Well, if it's any good, it'll make it to Broadway." Well, that's not necessarily the case. Okay, it
Right.
could be wonderful work, high level theater that goes on between New York and Los Angeles, in Minneapolis, St. Louis,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Toledo. You know what I'm saying? But that level of craft, when you bring your best game, you go to Broadway. You're supposed to see it. You're supposed to see it Olympic level. You know what I'm saying?
Is that
You,
so? Is Broadway like in football? That would be like the Super Bowl.
yeah, but it's an everyday Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? I
Correct.
mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you know
Well,
what I mean?
I put it this way: not the Super Bowl. That's like making it to the league. Whatever
Straight up and down.
Major
Yeah,
League, NFL, NBA.
that's it.
Okay.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's it for sure.
Okay. Okay. Um, talk to me, because a lot of people don't realize. When I was doing research on you, I said, "Oh, I said that was a cheat code." I said that whole cast cheated. So when you were in Fences, I look back, I say, wait a minute, wait just a minute. I was talking to someone earlier today, and I was telling them I was interviewing you. And he said, man, he was brilliant, man. All of them, the whole cast, Denzel, Viola, all of them, they were. I said, they cheated, right? He said, what you mean? I said, they was doing this movie as the play. It was a play first. They was doing the play way before they did. I said, they cheated. They already knew the line. They've been saying it over and over and over. But when you when you uh when you did the play Fences, and then you
Mhm,
guys took it to the screen,
mhm.
what were maybe some of the subtle differences that you had to do, on stage that you
Yeah.
couldn't do on theater, I mean film, or vice versa?
Well, the thing is, first of all, you got to understand it was 6 years later.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, I mean, we did the play in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
We filmed the movie in 2016. So, and we had all done things, between that.
Right.
So we didn't have, we had some of the lines we remember, but we didn't have any habits that were left over. You know what I mean? And if there
Okay.
were any, Denzel could pull your coat right away because he was a director.
Right.
And when we went into a house, we went up in the Hill District and really went in a house to really talk to each other.
Okay.
Because the thing you got to do on the stage is you got to project so that everybody can hear you all the way to the back.
Mm-hmm.
When you're doing a film, you talk to each other, man. You know what I'm saying? but you gotta. It's the camera picks up that you are really talking about what you're talking about. You
Right.
really want, there's something you really want to get through to the other person or to change. You want the other person to see something that you are trying to really get. So to go in there and be able to be that intimate, be able to be that, right on, it was such a and to go in the backyard where the birds are really out, the dogs are barking, and you know what I mean? It's really jumping all around you, and the cars going down the street.
Right.
And so uh, you're living it. That's the being thing. That's what you were saying when you
Being.
started. That's what you just be here, breathe, live. You know what I'm saying? Be this, and
And
that was the chance. That was a great chance to do that.
you guys, and I get what you're saying, because when you're being, like, for you guys, we could believe you guys live there, but you had to be like what you were just saying, as far as the cars, the birds, everything going by. You adapted, well, not adapted, but you were just being with your surrounding, with
Yeah,
and what I love your character did in that movie. Like, first of all, let me piggyback the subtleness that you were talking about when you're trying to convey, when you guys met up back up at the bar,
yeah,
and that scene you had, it was like your character was like, this used to be my boy, but I can't co-sign how he living. I
yeah.
can't. I still got love for you. I love you, but and he knew it. He knew it
Yeah.
because y'all interaction was like, it was almost like, it's like y'all know each other, but y'all are strangers.
Yeah, I tell you, man, that scene. And see, and here's the thing about that. When you really got nothing but trust,
Right,
respect, and love for the other person.
right.
You know what I mean? And so we go in this spot that Denzel had picked to do the scene, the club,
Hmm.
and meet the people and everything, and the lady that owned the spot and everything, and just be living in there, kicking it and that, and then say, okay, let's go shoot the scene and do it and then break. It's okay, and then relax and be really knowing the whole neighborhood, the whole Hill District, saying they doing all this story, man. They doing it up in there. It part of it that was sacred, man. I mean, it was like working on something, and that friendship that was breaking up. That's like you know, it's a powerful thing, and mutual respect, and like you say, and still got love for you, but it ain't never gonna be like it was before those days or yesterday, man. And yesterday's gone, man. That's all.
But see, your character. You was a true friend. I always tell people, if you can't argue, or you state your disagreement with your friend, then I question were you ever friends in the first place. But that's the first thing.
Yeah,
I've got friends. I remember growing up, we would argue, and you call back, and back in the day, you get the voicemail. I was like, man, you still mad about that? Man, pick up the phone, man. Nobody, man, come on. Like, hey,
right.
get over all that. And then once we get face to face, then we can say, all right, well, I see where you're coming from. And your character was such a friend, and that's what I loved about, because you was letting them know, like, man, you wrong, bro. Like, it's one thing to tip out, which you're not co-signing tipping out, but you tell me you're not gonna leave this woman alone. You
Right.
you because you, as a friend, you already knew what Denzel and Viola, as far as their characters, went through together, right? That whole dynamic, and you said, you telling me you go, and at that point, your character, you just didn't look at him the same. You just
Yeah.
couldn't do it.
But again, and August Wilson, man, that writer, man, he laid that thing down, man. And the real hard part of it was that the time that I talked to him about it, and he tells me, all right, I'm gonna take care of it, man. I'm gonna talk to her. And I think that he's gonna tell her, I've been doing wrong, but I'm coming home. And so I go back to my wife and I say, okay. She said, well, what's your boy say? I said, well, I talked to him. Everything's cool. He's gonna be cool. The next thing I know, my wife said to me, well, did he tell you about the baby? You understand? And I got to say, baby, what baby?
Baby,
Now
what?
I'm finding out, my boy, what? I got to find this out from my wife telling me, oh, you say you done talked to your boy. Yeah, yeah, he talked to you all right. And now here's what's out. Now see that man, I need to get hit with that in my house. You got to let me know. So that's an off scene. That ain't even in the story, but it had to happen, you understand? It's
Right.
an event that happened between one scene and the next. So the next time I see, man, it's something that.
Well, I mean, man, it spoke to me because I knew guys, maybe not a baby, but you're gonna leave. I knew guys out, and I've had those conversations where, like, dude, you. So hold on. So this woman here, you've been knowing all this time, so you ain't gonna work that out. You just go with something new with somebody you don't even know. Like
Right,
you.
right.
And so when I saw that scene, it was just crazy. It was just crazy. And I was telling someone earlier, I said the not the older son, but that was played by Mr. Hornsby, but
Yeah, yeah,
the the
line.
the younger son,
Yeah, Corey. Yeah,
Corey.
Juwan. Yeah,
He didn't get what the older brother got in the conversation outside with you, and Denzel and Hornsby talking about a little bit how he grew up. And he said, "Pop, I didn't know you went through." And he's like, "Yeah, yeah." And so, to me, what I tell people, the reason that is a very pivotal scene is because I always tell people, I have cousins and people, I always tell them, find out how your parents grew up because they were somebody before they were your parents.
yes,
And it
sir.
might explain
Yes, sir.
why they are the way they are, or why
Yeah,
they didn't give you what you thought you should have got from them. Not materialistic, but something from the inside as a person. And you may find out they couldn't give it to you because they didn't get it themselves.
that's the one. You know what? Coleman Domingo was just saying the other day on a thing. Hurt people hurt people.
Yeah, yeah,
Hurt people hurt people. And that's how that go. And that's why to stop some of the cycle, it takes a person. A person has to deal with their hurt. You understand? And get it straight with themselves so that they don't keep that cycle, so that they don't go on and hurt people. But and so you got to wrestle with that demon. Everybody got to wrestle with their own.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was and that's why I loved your character because it shows other men that you got to be a true friend to your friend. You gotta you and I say if we would especially men start pulling each other's coattail like bro, like bro, I can't co-sign on that, man. Come on, man, you gotta get that together, man. Look, you can't do that, man.
Right. Right.
Because then like in my group of friends, like my first of all, we can't even be friends if you don't take care of your own child. Like we
No.
can't even.
So there you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, we can't even.
That is.
You
It's
know.
nothing like the real thing, man. Nothing like the real thing. And in other areas where
Uh-huh.
you know, you say you're working with somebody, and I had this situation go down where
Uh-huh.
somebody say, "Hey, man, I'm gonna take off a couple of these pallets as I'm building something, so I need to take some of this from the job. I'm gonna take it on over here and do blah blah." You might want to say, "Hey, man, we can afford to buy the nails or that thing or that thing."
Right.
That the thing is this: if you get away with it, cool. You got away with maybe $100 worth of something. But if you caught, you lose the whole job.
You lose the
So
whole
now
job.
think about that decision. Now that's a friend. Now that ain't like I ain't going to run and tell. Don't get that idea.
Right.
It's just that if I can prevent you from going down that street where that bulldog is, I'm gonna tell you that bulldog might bite
Go
your ass.
down there.
You know what I mean? So but that's just and that's being a friend. That's just trying to be a friend.
And that's why, like I said, you portrayed it very well.
I appreciate
Um, do you think people in TV and film have recognized your full acting chops?
it. Man, I tell you something. I love that question. I appreciate that question. But yeah, all they ever had to do was give me a job, hire me as something that's special, and and I have gotten hired for things that are special. I
Oh
have got
yeah.
some special, but now the real deal, owners that I have to say, and part of it's on me too. But they didn't recognize me in my 20s and my 30s. Okay, when what chops I had in my 20s and my 30s. You understand? But the work that I got on the stage from brothers like Bill Duke, I got to do stuff on the stage. But
Right.
movies and TV, no, I didn't get no play through certain decades of my life. And then I went to teaching at university, and I had to raise my child, to get my
Right.
son through. I had to go get another job and everything. But I came on back. I stayed true to it because I was always able to do it because the stage is there. You know what I mean? So you're not doing it for the uh, uh, core award. You're doing it for the reward. That's the it ain't the award. It's the reward.
Right.
And the reward of doing it was fulfilling for myself, but it also meant I was home with my family for some time. A lot of times I had to get on the road, but
Right.
but no, I think that my chops or whatever are recognized because I'm working, man. So it's all the only thing they ever had to do for me is hire me, man.
Well, I know you're working, but it's like two roles I'm waiting for you, which I can see, and this speaks to your theater background, and which is I can see you doing a sitcom, right? Where you're funny, but at the same time they're coming, the family is coming to get that wisdom, that knowledge, from you. Or I can see you also playing. It could be, it's so many outlets now, with
Yeah,
Netflix and all this stuff. But I can see you doing a TV series where you're playing a complicated guy, like
yeah.
he's got layers, and it's
Well,
gonna.
you put that out there, brother, because
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. I throw it out.
one of
I throw it out there now.
one of the things about that sitcom thing, I did do an episode of a new sitcom that's coming down in January, and if it's picked up and everything, then it might be a recurring thing. And it's very
Okay.
much like what you said. It's a person with some situation. They got some height, some depth,
Okay.
wisdom and all that. But also it's a comedy. It's a sitcom. It's a comedy, but they come to him for some advice, and so that's out there, and it's always something around the corner. But I got man, I gotta tell you, man, I've been blessed, fortunate. I'm grateful, man. I'm grateful for what I have and have had, and whatever's to come. And I'm really grateful to be here sitting and kicking it with you. I must have done something right if
Hey,
you
look.
don't talk me up in it, man.
Hey, look at. I just want to let you know. About an hour ago, I was just as white as you are. But I had to go ahead and put this stuff on here. I had to darken it up a little bit. You know.
That's
So,
cool. That's cool. That's cool, man. Whatever it is. Yeah, man. It's great to see your smile, brother. I gotta tell you.
what um what what used to inspire you when you was younger, and what inspires you now?
Wow, the same thing that inspired me before is the same thing that inspired me now. And
Okay.
it's individual human victories.
Mm,
People who overcome examples that I have seen of people, individual human victories. And it's not like some It don't have to be nothing that huge, man. It's just
Right.
it's something that they overcame that was an obstacle, an impediment that was holding them back, and to see them get freed from that and go forward, and that's why the story of the African American experience is inspiring.
It
The
is.
story of the African American experience is inspiring because those individual victories that
Listen,
take the whole people. You know what I'm saying? It's inspiring.
you preach it to the choir. My out of the person that inspired me the most, as far as what you're talking about, has always been Harriet Tubman.
Mm, mm.
To it's one thing to sneak out the South. I don't
But
know if I'm sneaking back.
go back down the
I
man.
ain't
Man.
going back. I ain't
Not,
going back.
not, not no one or two
And look,
times.
and you got a bounty on me, and the bounty keep growing.
you
And
know,
but for her to recognize, that the scriptures says that, yea, do I walk through the valley of the shadows of death, I shall fear no evil. Thy rod, thy staff comforts me. For her to really take hold of that,
yeah.
and to keep going back and forth and never lose, that's why even you, and those times that you were coming up, and I tell people, I said it, yeah, it's not that racism has gone anywhere, but back then that was something different. That was that right there. When
Yeah,
when
man.
you when you're talking about your generation being the generation of youth that's helping forcing the change, and you still can be, you could be killed, not just going to jail. I mean, you could be, a lot of us, a lot of people talk the talk until somebody say, yeah, you might die. Oh, hold on, wait a minute, we had to do something else then. I don't know nothing about this dying part.
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and, for, and for you all to do that, and that's why I said you and others were doing extraordinary things in the time of chaos, which
but,
is
but,
which
but
is
yeah,
fascinating.
I was following the leader, and the leadership, the leadership was so powerful. The people, and they have been inspired by great leaders. So, to go
Yes.
back, the further back you go, the greater the courage is.
Yeah.
That that gets passed on, and so I know. I mean, I can say I've been fired upon. I wasn't in the military, but I've been fired upon right here in this country, and because of who I was with and where I was doing, and so, eh, and I've seen the white sheets. I seen them in Frankfort, Kentucky, and 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 that really did not scare me to not do it. It urged me forward to do,
Wow.
and you know what I mean. That was because the goal is to scare you to keep you down. And that they fail miserably, brother. They
The
fail.
well, the reason I say that, the reason and because I know what you're saying, but the reason I say it's still remarkable because when you look at the in Birmingham, the four little girls, you look at Emmett Till, you you look at Megan Egbert,
Big Evers, yeah.
Goodman, Cheney, and Schwartz. That's why you know to this day, that's why I don't fool with Mississippi. To this day, I don't Mississippi, boy, Mississippi. Too much
Yeah,
went on in one state. Mississippi was something different. But still, for you all to push on to as the song says, I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, you know, uh to do that. And like you said, even to hear stories, like you said, from leaders before, but still to 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 go on, is still, like I said, amazing to me. And that's why yourself, Brent, who we talked about, that's why I was always intrigued. Where did the acting come from? Because I'm looking where you growing up at, and then I'm looking at the time frame that
yeah.
you're born in, and it's like, okay, where did acting come? Where did acting come
Man,
from?
I tell you, there was some bad brothers out there doing it. Like, there's a brother that just passed, man, in Chicago, man. Anybody from Chicago that checks into this, they know. The great Ernest Perry, man. There's a brother named Ernest Perry.
Okay.
Great actor, great actor. And, these folks were there, man. They were out there and doing it and coming through little towns, coming through the cities, man. Like Woody King would bring shows through the Midwest and so on and
Okay.
so forth. And even the NEC, Negro Ensemble Company, they came around with this stuff like the Song of the Lusitanian Bodie. And Esther Roll, when I got to work with her, I knew I was working with a giant, man. This is somebody that Robeson had lifted up when she was a dancer and said what a great dancer she was. And to hear her tell the stories and to hear the stories recounted, to be a part of that tradition. So I mean, I appreciate you including me in the wave, but the wave had a lot of force when it got to me. It caught me up in it,
But
man. I
yeah, of
had to go
course,
with it.
of course.
Yeah, I had to go with it. Had to.
My final question for you, just simply, because I'm always curious, when we talked about being, as far as when you're acting, but how does one create a character? In other words, you're not doing either this is the first time this play is being done, right? Or this is the first time for this movie. So it's the first time for this character. So how do you step in and then breathe life into this character? Make it your own. I know you have the outline as far as the writers, what they write, but what is your process to make that character breathe?
Mm-hmm.
Because you do not sound like your character in Fences in real life. To sit here and talk to you, your voice is that I pick up on everything. The voice is a little different.
Yeah, well, the great Lloyd Richards is a great acting teacher and the head of the dean of the Yale School,
Uh
brother.
huh.
And it's in the text. You find the roots of the character in the text, and then you find out where the character's roots and your roots, you as a human being. What is it that you have a connection to this character? Now, if you read
Okay.
the play deeply enough, you got to read the play deep. Okay, it ain't about reading it. It ain't about reading it a lot of times. You
Hmm.
read it enough times, but you got to read it deep. You got to read it. Say, what causes this to cause this to cause this to cause this? Why did this character? And then once you find what's making that character do what they do, because characters don't always say what they want, but they always say what they think will get them what they want. So what are they saying? What are they trying to get? And then where does that find its living roots in you? Where was it one time that you wanted something as bad as that, or you wanted something like that?
Mm.
So once you connect your roots with the roots in the play, because it's got to be rooted to the language and it's got to be rooted to what
Right.
the playwright wrote. It's got to be, text oriented, like the Bible.
Right.
You got to be with the word.
Right.
Now, once you get with the word and you trying to become the word made flesh, to
Right.
say about, so you're trying to get those roots in that to connect to your roots, and then you follow the track, follow the eyes of the other person. It starts to accumulate in you. The center, like what job did you work? Where does that make you hurt at the end of the day? That's how you walk down the street because you've been doing what for 6 hours? Okay, I've been
Okay.
lifting this. So I'm
Okay.
going to move a little bit like this. My voice is going to be in this place because I've been doing that kind of work. And then what time of day or night is it? How are So all these other outside things have an effect on you, makes your temperature a certain way. Where did you come from before you came here? How did that make you feel? And why did you come here to feel better than you felt when you were over there? All these questions
Wow.
that you ask yourself that are related to the story cause a physical and a vocal change inside you. In
Gotcha.
contact, But now this is about that conservatory training you asked me about because that's why, well, you know what I mean? Because you've
Yeah.
already done a lot of expressive stuff to make your body respond to the circumstance of the situation. That's what you are. You try to become
Right.
a responsive, person, as they old folks used to say, walk a mile in somebody else's shoes.
Yes.
What's it like? What's it like to look at it, from that point of view? Oh, the other thing I will say too,
Okay.
you got to make your whole day. In other words, you might be in the play on the screen
Mm-hmm.
for 5 minutes on that day,
Mm-hmm.
but you got to know what you did all day that day and where all that happened. And so why are these few moments the
Mm-hmm.
moments that you are seeing in the story?
Okay.
You did, but you got to bring that day you had with you, and
Oh,
you got to go from here because of what happened here. You got to go into the rest of your day. So where did you go after that? And then what has happened to you between this time and the last time we saw you? But you got to have your whole day. So you got to make your character is the center of their life. They may be a supporting character
uh-huh.
in the story because you see more of the central character,
Right.
but in their life, they're the center. So you know what I mean. You got to create their whole day, and that's why they impact. But it's a beautiful thing, really, to create the entire human journey of a character, and know them, get to know them. And sometimes they're not nice people, but they don't think they're not nice people. They think they got a reason
Right.
to do what they're doing. And you got to tap to that.
That's amazing. You no one has explained that, not the creative part like that, but what is it's a question I asked before. I didn't have it for you, but you just captured it. And that was when you're not the main character, like you said, and you coming in and you have this small window. How do you make that character rememberable? When people remember, and you just express, that's how you make that, because you're not looking at like, okay, well, I only got these lines and I only got this. You're taking everything with
Yeah.
you, with that character. So when it's your moment for your character, then you can interject that life into that character and make that character remember, because people don't realize that. I always say that the supporting cast, to me, that job to me is a little bit harder than the main character because of what you just said. I've got to I've got to be seen for a moment. I got to roll for a moment, but in that moment I've got to make you either care about this character, remember this character, whatever it is, right? Depending on what this character does. And we have seen, whether it be TV, film, we have seen some characters that were role, a supporting role, but it was a character that everybody loves. And to me, that's the brilliant of that particular actor or actress, to make that happen when you're not the main character.
See, now the great thing about the main character sometimes is that they're a person, like say, like a brother like Denzel, that they got to carry the whole thing, and they working longer hours than you work and everything, but they make it possible for every one of those supporting actors to be doing their thing because you
Yeah.
got to have that headline. So it's a chain that's such a wonderful thing to be connected to when people are trying to put something out there of value,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so no matter how many words you had, a good brother friend of mine, he's gone now, but he was told by this producer one time. He said, "Hey, we paying everybody this, but you only got that one scene, so we gonna pay you this here." And the brother said, "Well, now can you do the story without that scene?" And he said, "No, you got to have that scene. But then how you think you gonna pay me different than you paying, all these other people?" He said, "No, I can't go for that." And the producer, much as he wanted to say I'll hire somebody else, he
Right.
had to face it. You Every character in the story is required to tell that story.
To tell that story. Yeah, and this is the person to do it. Ain't no fool. He realized he wasn't no fool. So let me keep this person because this is the person to make this happen.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Well, I appreciate you coming on the show and blessing us with your presence. I'm gonna reach out to Brent. I'm gonna reach out to Michael Potts and see if we can, get something set up in the new year, based on you guys' schedule and make something happen.
All right. All right. Appreciate yours, man.
And
Thank you so much.
thank you for blessing us with your presence. Continue much success. Stay safe, stay blessed, and we love you.
Same to you, brother. Love you right back. Peace.
Peace.